great discussions. Make sure that you are working on a form for 5 more minutes.
The essential question is, big question about music.
Learning, I said for learning goals, in what ways will students have to answer the essential question?
I mean, in what ways? That's still kind of limiting. Because that's implying that you're writing down something that you want them to do after that, which.
Well, I mean, you have to start with something for them to do, right? You can't just be like. I mean, you could just be like, "What? This is the question," and then do. That's what chapter 11 was about. Just ask me a question, and then they like. You can ask more questions, and then they start trying to answer the questions. You know what I'm saying? But like,
kind of think of them as like intended objectives for the students.
or starting points. Maybe?
I don't know, because like when I write lesson plans, I always think of them as like it was used as like kind of like an outline for when creating procedure, because it's like they're like more general ideas that I want the students to like be able to like learn or do musically, and then like build off the procedure from that as like more structured guidelines. So for whatever we're gonna call this section.
I think it's bad to have one specific thing. You want them to be able to do this. Sometimes that can be a good thing, but I think it's better to think of it as possibilities for ways they could answer that essential question. You can answer a question in more than one way. You feel that there's more than one way to skin a cat. I hate that because I don't like skinning cats, but it's true.
Well, then it's okay. And what?
What ways is it possible for students to
Yes,
do this?
that's a good one.
I feel like if we're like too like loose about that though, then like will they actually like learn the musical concept or that we want them to?
That's my class.
Good question. That's a nice problem.
I think it does need to be a little more.
And so then, like, the point of the lesson, like, procedure-wise, is for them to come, for them to figure that out of the question?
Yeah, through the lesson they come to the answers, but it's not through you telling them the answers, it's through you guiding them to discover the answers.
And they can come up with solutions that are, or answers that are different from what you do.
Yeah.
It's more co-creating.
So how do you have, like, a flexible procedure? I guess.
I think that's kind of a, almost like, not necessarily a doctrine, but like kind of like an idea that you need to have before going into this kind of format. Say to yourself, you know, well, while I'm doing this, I need to keep in mind, you know, I need to, like a disclaimer. Yeah, saying like, now, if I adopt this, I just need to make sure that I'm observing students closely during lessons, that I have time within the guidelines to say, well, okay, this, you know, making sure all students are participating, making sure all students know what they're doing, and make sure all students are learning. I think those three. Yeah, participation, comprehension.
What was the second? Comprehension.
Comprehension. I think.
It's not like bullet. What if you have like this kind of thing going on, where it's like your essential questions at the top, and then like you have all these things existing within each other, like maybe like input questions and like procedure and assessment, kind of next to each other. I don't really know. I just kind of feel like, just making it not linear.
Yeah.
So making it not like a list that you're reading
Not a
down.
list, but maybe like a more of a flow.
I like your idea about the, but otherwise.
Yeah, you can even like just divide it up like if we choose
Maybe if
this
something.
kind of option, these are the things that you would do to assess them. Yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? Because you still have to assess.
Yeah.
I think within reflection,
I like the
break it
table.
up into.
There's such great conversations and activity. We need to extend this another 5 minutes, I think.
That's a cool idea.
We can embed the assessments with procedures to
How are you going to introduce it?
procedure.
Those things need to happen. You need to introduce it and you need to wrap it up somehow, but you know, it shouldn't be like, this is going to happen and this, because then it just sounds like a schedule and it's tedious. keep following schedules. It's more fluid, it's more open, and allows students to put in their input.
How will this teacher introduce and guide and facilitate or guide? Facilitate the subject.
Because guiding and
The conversation, the lesson. How will the teacher introduce and facilitate the lesson?
And that can be through steps that you can follow that is like jot down.
And then
Discover things that you didn't think were going to be learned during that lesson. But like students will bring up, and students will be like, "Oh, hey, we learned this," and you think about it, you're like, "Oh yeah, we did." Like that wasn't my original intention, but yeah, we did that, and I think that would be really cool too. So.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe not necessarily like during the lesson, but I think maybe like teacher reflection like post
Yeah.
instructional time. I think. So yeah.
We'll put that in. Which kind of goes with questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even.
Okay.
And I think if you make all of the like grading and whatnot done through
That would be
observation, pretty much of students, rather than kind of like giving them a form or whatever, or like grading like written work or whatever. I think you ultimately are going to need that teacher reflection because you need to be able to say to yourself, okay, I'm like, am I being fair with everyone? Like, yeah. Exactly.
Approach national standards in the lesson plan.
I mean, they're really important.
Me too.
But I think they need to be like not
I feel like it's
not
going to be
just try to
quality.
not try to cram them into the
So
lesson. Try to
quality
use
over
them.
quantity.
Yeah.
So going in depth into one and then maybe adding more that we feel that are necessary to the lesson
And
more helpful.
using sort of your idea about the options for different procedures, you could have the students basically choose which national standards they want to use to achieve the behavioral objectives.
That I feel like that could, I mean, that would take a lot more planning on the teacher. It would take a lot more planning on the teachers.
And you also think of like grade level as well. It's like a really open-ended
Yeah.
And I feel like if the students keep choosing, maybe they don't want to say they just want to play orphanage. But
You're a creature of habit. If you're like, oh, I like improvise, you're gonna improvise. Like I feel like the teacher should be, facilitating and making sure that students are getting all the national standards because they're all important.
they are all important, but
Maybe not in every lesson.
maybe spaced out.
Are there only 9?
Oh no. 10.
I added movement into ours. Are there ones that I haven't added?
No.
PMEA at the conference last year, I went to one of the sessions was like about standards, and they had like macro standards and micro standards. And there was a different way they had it where they had like create, perform, assess for the macro standards, and then within that like create, there's improvise, compose, and the other one was like there was perform, and there was like a voice to perform, and assess is like so like they had macro standards. I actually liked that because
Have we done that in our rubric? What were our performing standards? What are our creating standards? What are our history and culture evaluation?
And that's where we run into. It would take a lot of planning ahead of time, but I think ultimately it would be worth it because what the students want to know. Yeah, it would be more interesting. So I think that's another thing we should put.
That's where we run into the issue again of throwing them all in. Like I like appreciate the idea. It's just there's some lesson points where I sit there and I just go,
Getting in their heads that
this really doesn't make sense in here, but I'm putting it in here because I need to.
Whoever said the whole thing about like I forget who it was now, but like the national standards just need to enhance or support the essential question. I think that's like a really good idea because you're still using.
So the essential question is your center instead of the national standards, and the national standards are now used.
to support
Yeah.
the question.
So you only use
Because the
which
question
ones
is the
make
most
sense.
important
Yeah.
part.
The question, I feel like that's what we're trying to. Yeah, I feel like
I feel like in that, if you think of it in that sense, they become more of a behavioral objective than a national standard.
which then actually then eliminates us saying students will. That brings it into like students will have the ability to do something like that. Like instead of students will, maybe even making it students will have the ability to say.
But Scott, you said in your philosophy that the student is a teacher and the teacher is a student. So is it only for the student?
Teacher.
Yeah.
So the class